So, good morning and warm welcome once again. Uh, Myself, Monal Parikh, and here we are for Oracle Fusion technical overview. And let's begin with the technical overview in this session. So, here today I would be explaining you and giving you a brief on how our course will go on and what all details we are going to cover throughout our course. So this is the agenda for today's discussion. So basically we will first try to understand what is a fusion application, because this is the main agenda, main uh, content of the whole course. What is the fusion application? How does it gets deployed on various structures? What all functionalities are available with fusion application? How does it interact with other application? So all these are the details which we will be looking in the course, and today we will be getting an overview for each of this topic. Okay, so now starting with what is fusion application. So basically this application is built for business comprehensive task. In easy terms, if I say, then we have ERP, that is enterprise resource planning. We have CRM, that is customer relationship management. Then we have HCM, that is human capital management. So these are various components of an organization. These all components, when kept together, these are known as fusion application. When these all components can interact with each other, they depend on each other and they can communicate with each other, these all will be termed as fusion application. So basically fusion application, if we check the characteristic, it is based on the standard based platform, that is open standard based platform. It means that you have much of flexibility to create and to manage your own components. Talking about Oracle SOA suite, it means that service oriented architecture. So basically a platform where you are provided with an infrastructure to define your own application. Similarly, if I say then after Oracle J developer, so J developer will give you flexibility to develop your own application, to code out your own application. Oracle BI, which is a very strong and powerful tool for our business analytics. So that is already provided in the platform and you can use it to have various analytical outcomes from the system. Then we have Web Center Portal, which we say that we can host internal or web external website using the platform. Then if we talk about Oracle Web Center content, so basically a center content will hold your all the documentation digitalized on the system. So that there is a storage area where from where you can access inbound and outbound of your data that is stored in the form of documentation. Not just the documentation, you can have various other contents stored in the Oracle Web Center content. It can be in the form of other videos and everything. Oracle Enterprise Manager, basically when we consider a huge organization that is holded under one single enterprise, so that can be managed at the highest possible level to the lowest possible level. Then we talk about Oracle Identity Manager. So Oracle Identity Management basically helps you to control your security, your accessibility, and your performance based on your kind of role you have in the enterprise. So hence it is termed as open standard based platform. Now also it is built on the best business processes. This means that when the market was open and market has had different application which was best in its performance were used to form a base for all clubbed fusion application. So if I say PeopleSoft, so PeopleSoft had an application of Talio, so which was then owned by Oracle, and it was based with the Oracle applications. Considering other all similar all application which were best in the market, they were picked up and they were with the base for the creation of applications. Now deployed through selection of options. Now Oracle application, Fusion application are not just a centralized or standalone application. These are based and created in a manner that can be deployed in various manner. We have public cloud, which is that Oracle will be managing all the server, all the accessibility, all the sizing, all the networking, everything will be managed by Oracle. The only thing which will be done by the company, by the organization, that is to map it out and to manage their business on the application. So this is a public cloud where everything from the data till the server and the networking, everything is managed by Oracle itself. When we talk about private cloud, that is the next phase part, which basically is again hosted by Oracle, but it is still secured and accessibility is restricted to the single tenant. When I say single tenant, it would mean that it is a single organization who have the accessibility in the secured layer. It is still interactive with the outer world, but it will be secured in a private cloud and no resources will be shared by any other organization. The next hierarchical phase we say is an on-premise hosted and maintained by our organization. It means that the application being everything, your server, your data center, everything is managed by your organization, your IT organization itself. So this on-premise application is the one which was the initial phase, initial initiation of Oracle as a Fusion application. And the final which we have, that is hybrid, an implementation on both premise and the cloud. So again, we can have a kind of implementation where certain server part, certain data center part, or certain functionality is hosted and managed within the premises, and certain other available features can be on the public cloud. So this kind of structure will be an hybrid implementation which will be basically opted by an organization if required. Nowadays in the market, public cloud is the most occupied and most liked product, because here in the public cloud there is no concern of your management, because everything will be managed by Oracle. There is no restriction on the data center, because again it is managed and provided by Oracle. Hence this is the public cloud which is used by huge organization in the market nowadays. So this is whole of Fusion application, how it is created, how it is deployed, and on what foundation was this applications were built on. Moving on, when we talk about our Fusion application architecture, so as we speak about Oracle application, that is Fusion application, there are various applications which are clubbed. When we speak about application, we say customer relationship management, that is CRM. We have Fusion financials, that is finance module. When we talk about human capital management, so that is the HR structure. and HR management through the system, through the application. Similarly, we have projects, we have supply chain and all. These all applications is a group of product, is a group of family, and all together are termed as Oracle Fusion Applications product families. So now these will be interacting with the Oracle Fusion middleware. This middleware is where the components like application development framework, Oracle Business Intelligence, HTTP server, SOA suite, all these are components of middleware which will be interacted through and fro by Oracle application. So if I term specifically about Oracle Business Intelligence, so this is a component and this is a server where your analytical reports are being created and being managed from the direct access to the your database. So these all components will be basically directly interacting with your database. Your application does not have a direct interaction to your database, but it goes through a channel of your middleware, which will help you to retrieve, to update, to create any sort of data and impact on the direct database. So this is how an Oracle architecture is framed upon in a secured layer with a user interface in this various components, various applications, which will interact with the database through the middleware and get the through and fro flow of the data. So as we term about the deployment model, now this Oracle Cloud can be deployed in various manner. In the term of deployment, I mean to say that how and when and in which manner our cloud applications, our models will be managed and will be accessed. So when I term about, when we first of all talk about deployment model, the first question which arises, that is, how can we access the Fusion? How do we want to access the Fusion? Does it, is it on the premise or we can make it on the cloud? So when we term it on the premise, it means that every ownership of the premise application will be owned by the organization, will be managed and will be owned by organization. So considering from networking to the application, everything, even your servers will be managed by your own organization. Then when we go on one prior phase, when we talk about our cloud, so before going to cloud, when we talk about on premise, if we want to have all the management done on the premise, we can opt also for infrastructure as service. Now let's say I want to have it on premise, but I don't want my company to managing it. I don't want my data center, I don't want to use my own data center. I want Oracle to provide me a data center. So in this kind of scenario, I say that I want to go for infrastructure as application, as a service. So in this case, when I talk about infrastructure as service, in this way, some of the components, some of the infrastructure components will be provided by Oracle, within which I can manage my own application, I can deploy my own application, and I can store my own data in this infrastructure. When I term that, okay, my infrastructure is enough, but I want management to be done from Oracle itself, I don't want to manage everything on my own, then I go to software as a service, that is a SaaS. So I don't have application, I just have business, and I want Oracle to match, to map out, to control, and to maintain application, data, servers, networking, everything. So in this kind of scenario or in this kind of approach, we term it as software as a service, where Oracle serves, maintains, The whole cloud application, the only thing which business does is to deploy their details on the application and run the application for the transactional data. Now, along with when I have SaaS, which serves me, which caters me with all my needs, but I still have some more details, some more flexibility to capture, which is not covered in the seeded available services, then I can go for a PaaS. So this is the scenario when PaaS comes in the picture, which is termed as platform as a service. So when I term platform as a service, it means all my application and data will be managed by me, will be created, will be owned by me. I will be defining what will be the inbound and the outbound of the data. But again, the server, again, the networking, everything I want Oracle to manage it. I can create a custom page. I can have my own fields. I can define that how this page should work out, what all details it has to capture, what all validations I want on this page. That can be defined through pass, but I want that this page will be deployed and will be managed in sizing by Oracle itself. I don't want to manage it my own. Then we opt for a pass where we can have this functionality to create, but will be managed by Oracle, because Oracle will then serve me as a whole separate server to create such kind of pages. Now, this PaaS platform as a service is not restricted to only creation of different kind of pages, but also to interact with other kind of application where I serve other kind of application as a software as a service. So PaaS is not restricted to its own. It also has inbound and outbound integration with SaaS. It means that my seeded application does have a data which can be interacted, created, updated through the platform as a service PaaS page. So here we have these interactions available as well. Now, what all these interactions can be done by SaaS, that details we are going to capture in the further course. Now, moving on from the cloud deployment model, as we termed that we have various kind of models. These all various models can also be bifurcated in short terms when we speak about three kind of deployment models. That is on-premise, which we already discussed, that everything is managed in a single data center, which is dedicated to a single organization. Then coming to the private cloud, where everything, the services, the technology is managed by Oracle software, but the hardware can be still internally managed, considering that there will be a firewall to have a secure layer and secure access to our resources, to our data. This data center is solely for the organization, but the resources can be shared across the internet. Coming out from the private cloud, when we speak about the more open scenario, that is public cloud, where all the services, all the data center is shared and the services are also shared across various other companies itself in an enterprise. So if I say there, this enterprise which I want to deploy on cloud has different companies all together, which I want to deploy under a single data center to have a common accessibility, then I can opt for a public cloud where various companies' data and transactions will be managed but will be under a single data center. So these are another phases of another bifurcation or another approaches which a company, an organization will have a look and follow the approach to deploy and to have the application in their premises. So when we talk about our Oracle applications, Oracle Fusion application, which is the highest level of our architecture, these applications are the front end UIs which will be available to the end users, and various transactions related to their own respective product will be performed on the system. So basically, when we term this as a product, it means that financial management, finance module itself is a product. It has a separate licensing and it has a separate service. Similarly, terming as human capital management, when we talk about human capital management, again, it has its own licensing and it has own transactions, it has its own implications. Again, talking about similar other products, these all products all together are deployed on an enterprise level to cater their needs of as a whole enterprise served on one product, one base, one application. So these all separate products are manipulated, are managed, and are transacted in their own terms. But these all products are interrelated and are interacting when we deploy it together. On a very basic term, when I say Oracle Human Capital Management, where a person will be managed, considering the payroll, the absence, the HR data, everything, these all details are does impact the financial management, financing side when we talk about general ledger. So basically your payroll, your organization's payroll does impact to your ledger. So here we have an inbound and outbound integration, not inbound and outbound integration. Basically it is a seeded integration itself in the Oracle Fusion application. So these are all wired internally and the interaction takes place between this various products. So an enterprise will be looking for such kind of product where everything is been linked up internally to have a single data source, a single data truth. So this is how an organization will be looking on for managing their whole enterprise. Now, when we particularly term about Oracle Cloud Fusion application, then we may have a need where a, an organization may not opt for all of the product. It may opt for one or two of the product. So in this case, we have to interact, we have to have a wiring with the third application, third party application. So in this case, we have inbound integrations and the outbound integrations in the picture. So when I term as inbound integration, it means that I can get the data in the Fusion application with various manners. Now these manners we will be discussing deep down for each of these inbound integration separately. So again, giving an more overview on the inbound integration, it means that we want the data to be imported in the application from various sources. So we have HCM, that is HCM data loader, termed as HDL. It allows you, or it has a flexibility to load your HR related data for bulk of employees in one go on the system. So basically there is a file format structure in which the data will be added and this all data will be loaded in a one go to the Fusion application. This data loader is managed or created outside the system, outside the application. Then when we talk about spreadsheet data loader, so basically various spreadsheets are available to not only create your or update your data, but in the configuration perspective, in the perspective where you need to define some validations, some rules, then you can load this configuration, this validation through the spreadsheet data loader. Payroll batch loader. When we term payroll batch loader, as it specifies that it is a batch loader used for the payroll perspective. It means that all your payroll data, all your payroll interactions can be loaded through the payroll batch loader. So in a very layman terms, if I say that I want to load my salary details for a huge group of employees, then I can use payroll batch loader to directly load the data in the system. Then when we talk about SOAP and the REST web services, so basically these web services again are used and are called to load the data on the Fusion application. So when we talk about REST web services, it means that these services can be called or can be used in PaaS. When I term PaaS means I can create my own web service, I can create or define a web service, and I can push the data on my software as a service application, that is my Oracle Fusion Cloud application. So these are all inbound integration. So as it says, that it can be an in-house application from where you can create or define the data or manage the data, and that data will be reflected in the Fusion application or can be pushed to the Fusion application. Not only in-house application, there can be any third-party application which will be used or which are getting used by an organization, and we want this data to be impacting our Fusion application, then we can have this inside a picture as well. Next, when we term about outbound integration, then outbound integration, it means that some data, some uh, reports we want to be extracted from the Fusion application and should be flowing to other third-party systems. So having an example of ADP over here, when I term as ADP, so basically ADP has your HR and payroll created for an organization through the ADP. So when I term this or take an example of ADP, if I say my payroll is running, and payroll for an organization is running in this ADP application. So my details of HR or absence, I want this all details to flow from my Fusion to the ADP for my payroll calculations. So in this basic example, I say that I have my data managed in the Fusion application, which will be extracted using HCM extracts or through reports or through a web service. I can push this data from my Fusion application to the third party application. So this is where our outbound integrations are also incorporated through the Fusion application and serve the organization to have an interaction within various applications. So these are inbound and outbound processes. So what we discussed are clubbed up or discuss having an overview here, that in any Fusion project implementation, 70% of work goes into inbound and outbound integration. When we speak about a huge organization, we have a huge stack of our data to be flowing inside all together. In this case, we can have our inbound integrations created so that we can save our time to perform a single transaction on the system, and instead we can load the whole bulk of data all together on the system. not only our initial data, but the transactional data also can be loaded on the system. So these inbound and outbound is one of the interaction, one of the flexibility which an Oracle Cloud Fusion application can have. Moving on to the next strong and very powerful tool, which is Oracle reporting tool, that is OTBI and BI. So when I term as OTBI, that is Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence. And when I say BI, it's a business intelligent BI publisher, business intelligent publisher. So these two are a separate term, but serving and catering the same requirement. The only flexibility and only difference which we have in BI and OTBI is OTBI is predefined and pre-served at a certain level, where a normal end user can also create their own reports based on their requirements and validations. When we talk about BI publisher, this BI publisher is strong in terms of having your reports incorporated in various layouts, various outcomes, and in more customizable way, more restricted way, where we have complex report requirements. When we talk about CEO level reports, then the strongest tool which is used is the BI publisher tool, where these all reports are generated at the highest, most top level, which includes all various kind of data, having multiple group, multiple company data consolidated at one level. So these two differs in terms of how it serves to the enterprise or how it serves to the organization. So this is a technical or an diagram architecture of how the OTBI and BI publisher works on. So at the base, you have Fusion Application Transactional Database. So at the very base, you have your transaction or your database, that is the Oracle database, which, to be specifying, it is also normalized at the fifth normalization level. It means your data is stored in so much segregated manner that you can have access to one object at a time, and it is stored and it is managed in only one table. Now this database has some predefined layer which is created as BI view objects. So as I speak, BI being the strong tool, we have BI view objects which is predefined, created through various queries and all. This view objects serves to OTBI as a platform, as a base. So when we term as BI view objects, these are predefined ones through which an end user or an reporting person can create their own uh, reports in the manner of user friendly and a functionality of a drag and drop. So these BI view objects are created or are predefined, which I can use, from which I can just drag and drop the columns and create a report, which I term it as OTBI. Hence, BI being the strong and the base foundation, and OTBI caters to the friendly and user level report development. Now, this database also gives access or has a direct interaction with your data models. So basically, data model is defined to have various data getting fetched from the database and is clubbed in such kind of layout to report it as an output. Meaning, my BI publisher tool it enables me, or it gives me functionality to load a certain layout and to fetch the data from the system and display it under certain layout, and this layout is generated as an email or as in document or as in Excel format or various other layouts. These layouts can be defined by a user or can be loaded in the format in which we need the output. So using this BI Publisher data model tool, I can further create various complex reports, and I can schedule the processes to run the reports, and I can have the functionality to trigger emails through this reports, and I can have this report scheduled at certain time so that this reports again can be used as an outbound processes or as an outbound source. So when I term about outbound source, it means that this reports can be created and be executed, can be run at a particular time, and any third party application can access the data from this reports to fetch it on their own system. So this is how the BI tool, reporting tool, is getting used by an organization. So when I go deep for OTBI, Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence is fully integrated Fusion HCM and requires no additional system on security configuration. So OTBI is much of interactive, what we define on the application level. It means that when I define my security at the application level, the same security is also inherited by my reports, by all my OTBI reports. So when we study more about security, then the picture will be clear that what kind of security is inherited by these reports, which we have defined at the application level. So if you term the third statement, it says that OTBI inherits Fusion HCM user roles and security profiles. So all your data access, you can have a generic report which is available to everyone. But based on each of employees' data access, be based on each employee's role, that data must be restricted. So this OTBI is smart enough to know the person's security access, and accordingly it will restrict the data access to the employee. So this is how OTBI, being a stronger tool, can be used at the application level. Now BI Publisher, when I term as the strongest and the foundation of OTBI or the base of OTBI, this BI Publisher has much more functionality in terms of your report developments, your processing schedules, and your restriction on the reports. So all these inputs will be coming through XML. Basically, all your data, all your reports will create an XML file. XML is an strongest tool for flowing your data in form of a report. So basically flowing your report through different application, different portals. During that time we use XML layout to store or to pass on the data. On another basic level, to give an example for XML, then Oracle uses XML layout to send the data to the bank portal or to the government portal or any kind of third party portal which is interacting with our Oracle Fusion application. So it will send the data in form of XML, being the strongest markup language. So it will take the inputs as well as output in the XML format. but in between you can use this XML data and create your all certain kind of layouts. You can have layouts in the form of PDF, in the Word document, in the Excel format, or in any other reporting view. It means that any analytical view, any chart view, any pie chart view, or any kind of analytical view you want, you can define it as a layout, and you can use the XML data to feed this kind of reports or this kind of layouts. This reports or this layouts can be outputted as your output format. It means that a PDF can be used as a layout, but also it can be generated in the output format. You can load an HTML or an Excel layout, and the outcome of this report can be generated in various other formats. Now, not only restricted to the output format, if you have a requirement, sorry, if you have a requirement to flow this output formats to various emails, it can, like, if you want that various emails should be triggered with the data which is feed over here, you want this directly to be printed out as a hard copy, or you want to fax it, or you want to store it at some your local server, or at any other destination, you want to burst out these details in certain layouts, then BI Publisher tool can take in some data, create a layout, generate an output, and can deliver to certain destinations wherever you want. So this is the capability of BI Publisher tool to interact and to suffice the needs of an organization. Now, moving on from the BI and OTBI tools, this is an overview of how our application is extendable and can be customizable. Now, our Fusion application is not restricted only to the base which is provided by Oracle. It can be also extended to cater the needs of your organization in terms of application composer, page composer, or adding the custom fields, or having the reports enabled for mobile as well as your system, and have some coding at the application level. So when we term as page composer or application composer, it means that the Fusion gives you a flexibility or a tool to use your HTML code, your JavaScript, your web services, or any Groovy code to define, to create, and to have the functionality of any restriction or any reports or any kind of custom requirement that can be incorporated using this various markup languages, various lookup or various HTML languages, and can be used on the Fusion application to change your look and feel, to have your company logo on the system, to have a different color based on the company, you have a different logos based on the company. So this all requirements can be incorporated through the Fusion application extensions. Sorry. So it does not again restrict to the seeded fields which are provided. You can also define your own custom fields on the system, that is defined as descriptive flex field, extensive flex field, and the key flex field. So these are various kind of fields playing their role in their manner, but these are some features through which you can define your own fields and capture the information on the Fusion application. So apart from the fields which are already provided by Oracle, you can have your extensibility to define your own fields and to use these self-defined fields at various other locations itself inside the Fusion application. Now also when we talk about page composer, we can hide, we can show up, or we can restrict some of the options on the system. Let's say there is a report which I just want line managers to view on a very layman term example. Then I can use my page composer to define the rule that this report will be only visible to the line managers. Only this validation or this restriction is applied on the application level itself. So this is how your seeded application is extensible. When we talk about security, it means that our security is also managed itself in the Fusion application, questioning these three terms. That is who. It means that who is the accessor of the system, who is going to access the system. Now the person who is accessing the system, what kind of role is played by the user? Is that person only an employee, or this person is also a supervisor in this organization, or the person is specifically playing the role of an HR? So this security based on who, what, and which data terms and defines their own criteria to restrict the data access from the system. So that access, that approach is termed as role-based access control. Role-based access control basically caters the approach or the needs of an organization to restrict and to avail restrict or to avail the data based on an employee's role or the person's role in an organization. More detail will go in the security agenda when we cover this in the future sessions. So basically, RBAC model we say, or role-based security model we say, which is followed by Oracle. This model easily suffices the need of an enterprise to restrict and to avail the access and the data access of the application as well as the data on the system. Now talking about the workflows, basically a workflows are the approvals and the notifications defined on the system. It means that how the application will initiate the approval process in the system and how these approvals trigger the notifications as and when needed. So our workflows basically gives you the detail that how can you define an approval for various different kind of transactions. Moving on from the workflow, we can define this workflow at the very detailed level using our BPM, that work list. This is an area where we can define and have more insights of a security or our approvals. But when we talk about an upper level approval, which is predefined by Oracle and can be managed by organization IT member on the user interface level. So when we talk about user interface level, it means that the user interface provided to manage the approval is very easy and user friendly. It can be used or can be easily managed by an organization member who has not even node or worked on the Fusion application. With the very basic training, and member of an organization can manage or define the approval flow. BPM worklist, as I said, business process management is a deeper insight of managing your workflows. So these are all the topics or all the main agendas which will be looked forward in our sessions and which will be covered in the detailed session of each individual topic. Hence, concluding this overview session by mentioning the points that why we are the ones you can approach or you can choose us, because we having a background of 10 plus years in the market and 5 plus years in experience of Oracle applications, particularly Oracle cloud applications. These talking about me having 10 plus years of experience overall in the market. And when I talk about past 5 plus years, I'm working with the Oracle cloud applications, not only technical and the functional perspective, but overall architecture perspective. So this is the concluding of introduction session. Thank you a lot for joining the session. Please, you can raise your concerns. Okay, now in the QA session, as I get the question, what does OS means? OS means the operating system. It means that operating system, when we talk about infrastructure as a service, going back to this question, when I term as infrastructure as a service, it means that the operating system on which you want to deploy your applications, that OS should be managed by you. When we talk about on-premise as well as infrastructure as a service, so this deployment is your company's, your organization's choice to deploy and work on. When we talk about the PaaS and the SaaS, operating system is predefined and is already provided, termed as a Oracle service. So this you did not need to manage. Everything, even including the operating system, will be managed by Oracle itself. It's an independent of the OS which will be using for your application user interface. But at the backend, what operating system will be managed, that is up to Oracle, and they will be managing it. So any other questions from any other joinees? Okay, then team, we'll conclude the session over here. If you have any questions, you have the contact details, or I am sharing the contact details again. Here on the screen, you have the contact number as well as you have the website details, and you can visit the website and let us know if you have any concern regarding this session. Thank you team. Thank you guys for joining. See you soon in the next session.
Thank you.